Alright. One second. Get the cracks out of there. Oh, there we go. Got a lot to do and less time to do it in. So, we're starting off right now with Magic. The mechanics and a couple cards from Return to Ravnica Allegiance have been spoiled. We're going to go over them. I did two of them, two videos talking about the Orzhov and the Rakdos. I'll go over them again briefly, give my thoughts on the cards and the overall abilities. This is a roundup video. The actual spoils will not be happening until not this Monday, but the following Monday. Start of the new year, basically. So I got this, I got What If, I got Who Would Win, and I got to do a review for Aquaman. So I got a lot to do today. So let's just get down to it. So the Azorius mechanic is the Orzhov mechanic is Afterlife. Afterlife is when this creature dies, put X 1/1 white black creature spirit tokens with flying onto the battlefield. X is whatever the number is. So in this case, on this card, Tith Taker, it's Afterlife 1. You would put 1/1 a black and white spirit token on the battlefield. Different cards will have different afterlife costs. There will be cards that have multiple. I'm willing to bet there's an X1 or something like that that's messed up. The mythic rare Orzhov creature, whatever it may be, will probably have that ability, or it'll be something. But Tith Taker, though, the card itself, I've gone over this one. Go over it again briefly. It's a 1 white, 1 of any color, so it's a bear. 2/1, kind of. It's a little less than a bear, but it's better than a bear because of its ability. During your turn, spells your opponent's during your turn, spells your opponent cast cost 1 more to cast, and abilities your opponents activate cost 1 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. This is a great card. It's great to just slow your opponent down. Even when it dies, you will get something back. Ultimately, it's just a solid card. Spectacle is the Rakdos mechanic. Spectacle is basically pain cast. If you dealt damage to your opponent, if your opponent lost life, you activate this. You can pay it for the spectacle cost and get an extra ability. With Rixamati Reveler, it is a 2/2. It's a bear, 1 red, 1 of any color for a 2/2. Enters the battlefield, discard a card, then draw a card. If you played a spectacle of 1 black, 1 red, and 2 of any color, you discard your hand, draw 3 cards. It's actually not a terrible card ultimately, but it's not really my taste. I don't know. Something about that card just doesn't stick well to me. But ultimately, it's not terrible. It's got benefit to it. That's the thing. And then you have the Light Up the Stage, which is Spectacle 1 red. Exile the top 2 cards of your library, Till the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Good card, especially when you have like effects that will automatically ping for damage. Those cards will exist in this set, no doubt. Then we move on to the Simic, because I'm doing the rest of the mechanics in order when they come out. The Simic was actually the next one to come out, so it broke my theory that we were doing it by color sharing in order. Their ability is Adapt, which is basically a different version of Monstrous. Essentially, a creature would adapt. You pay the adapt cost. Adapt whatever the number is. You put that many +1/+1 counters on a creature if it has no +1/+1 counters on it. Now, the thing about this, let's look at one of the cards first. Aeromunculus, which is basically a homunculus mutant. It's a 2/3 flyer for 1 blue, 1 green, and 1 of any color. So right there, it's a 2/3 for 3. It's usable. It's good. It has Adapt 1, so for 1 green, 1 blue, and 2 of any color. You turn it then into a 3/4 flyer. Again, pretty solid. Honestly, it's not that bad. You don't have to play for the adapt cost. You can just play it as a 2/3. It's just a good side filler card. But the thing about adapt is, if you lose the +1 counter, you can adapt again. That tells me that there's going to be cards that are going to shift +1/+1 counters around. It also tells me that because the wording on here, and I'm going to check the other one real quick. Zagana here, she's back. It doesn't say when you have to, like, you don't, unlike Monstrous, which had to be activated as a sorcery effect, basically on your turn. This doesn't say how you need to activate it. You can activate it however you so choose. So you can I would have to believe you can activate this as an instant. And going to that point, we have Zagana, Utopian Speaker. Now, Zagana, should note, is not mythic. She's not the guild leader anymore. So the question is, who's the guild leader now for the Simic? Is it another merfolk? Is it someone beyond that? Like a different type of creature besides a merfolk? And then, What's the Simic Mythic going to be like? Because I swear that better. I'm going to be disappointed as hell if that is not a creature. Simic is all about actually a very creature heavy guild, so I will be supremely disappointed if the Mythic from their guild is not a creature. But Sagana is a 4/4 for 1 green, 1 blue, and 2 of any color. Right there, she's a 4/4 for 4 usable. Now here's what's interesting. First off, when she enters the battlefield, if you control another creature with a +1 counter on it, draw a card. So automatically, you're automatically getting a card draw, even if you don't. Even if you. Sorry, I completely messed up my sentence there. You get a card draw so long as you have a creature with +1 counters on. With this effect in this guild, that's not going to be hard. So you're probably getting a 4/4 for 4 with draw, no problem. Then you can pay 4 of any color, 1 green, 1 blue to adapt for 4, making it an 8/8. And each creature you control with a +1 counter on it has trample. Zagana is a bit of a beast because you can play it for 4. If you're assuming this guild, assuming there's cards that allow you to get some extra mana, for instance, like a Locket, like a I know there was other cards. I know the Locket's a debate, but like a Locket, maybe like a creature that tests for extra mana, there's nothing to say you probably can't get her ability off maybe on turn 5 or 6 to adapt her, to turn her into an 8/8, and with trample. Zagana is awesome. Zagana will be going into whatever deck I have that is a green-blue deck that would function with her. There is also another another Simic card that got spoiled, Incubation and Incongruity, the split card that's uncommon for the Simic guild. Incongruity. You're going to have to excuse me as I'm doing this. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them, put them into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. Incongruity. Basically, it's 1 green, 1 blue, and 1 of any color for an instant. It's essentially, that exile target creature, its controller puts a 3/3 green frog lizard creature token into play. Good card, honestly. I'd probably use the I almost certainly would use the search function more because as removal goes, the Incongruity is not very good removal. Unless you're getting rid of a really big creature on their field, like if they have, let's just use Rakdos as an example. They got Rakdos, or they got Niv Mizzet. If they got a big beefy Gruul creature or something like that, then I could see turning into a frog as a plus side. But ultimately, not feeling that very much. I would definitely use the first part of that ability, though. Then we have the Gruul mechanic, Riot. So, Riot, I think Riot is arguably one of the best mechanics. I like the adapt mechanic fine, and Simic's my colors, so great. But ultimately, I think this is just going to be the more versatile mechanic. Riot essentially says that when this creature enters the battlefield, you either put a +1 counter on it or it has haste. So the cards we have as an example of that is Frenzied Arnix, 1 green, 1 Gruul colors, 1 green and 1 red, 2 of any color for a 3/3 cat beast with trample, and you can pay 6, 1 red, 1 green, and 4 of any color, and this card gets +3/+0 until the end of turn. So you can either give it haste, make it a 3/3 trample that can turn into a 6/3 if you want, or you can bring it out as a 4/4 with trample, and then basically turn into a 7. With that one, I might actually lean more towards the +1 counter side of it. With Gruul Spellbreaker, however, a 3/3, 4/3, 1 red, 1 green, 1 of any color, Riot, trample, and as long as it's your turn, this creature has hexproof. I might just go with the haste. And I'm going to get to the reasons for that actually when I'm done going over all the guild mechanics. Should note that we did have one other card spoiled, and that is Bedevil. 2 black, 1 red, instant, rare, destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. It's your standard bread and butter destruction spell for the set. Great card. That's honestly a really good card, so good on it. Should also note there was another Afterlife card, an Imperious Oligarch, 1 black, 1 white, 2 of any color for Vigilance Afterlife 1. Another solid good card. And Raptor Demon as well was another spectacle card that was revealed. But that's just a demon that causes opponents to discard cards. The last card, now this is the last mechanic. This is a weird one for me. Not that it's bad, it's just, I think this is the odd man out mechanic. Is Azorius' Addendum. So Addendum essentially is, If you cast a spell during your main phase, you get an extra ability. So on Sphinx's Insight, which I love the flavor text on it, do not think me blind to your admission or your true master, Grand Arbiter. Because Dovin Bond's the now leader of the Azorius. His Sphinx is like, I know what you're doing, bitch. I know what you're doing. But this card is an instant. 1 white, 1 blue, 2 of any color. Draw 2 cards, and if you cast it during your main phase, you gain 2 life. So ultimately, I mean, that's a pretty good card, even for a common, which it is. But then we get, so far, the only mythic that's been spoiled, and our first story spotlight. Now, I'm trying to figure out which, because they aren't labeling the story spotlights in order anymore, so you got to figure it out. I'm wondering if this is near the end or the beginning. But emergency powers. 1 white, 1 blue, 5 of any color, so 7 mana altogether for a mythic rare instant. Target player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library and draws 7 cards. Exile this card. Now, if you play it during your main phase, you may put a permanent card with confirmed mana cost 7 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. Where do I begin? Well, I believe is it time verse or reversal of time. I have the card that's kind of like this. However, it makes both players basically redraw their hand, exile everything, and things along those lines. This card only works on one player. Now, because it's an instant, you can choose to play it, say, on your opponent's turn when you pretty much are near tapped out, or don't have really anything in your hand except maybe this card. Redraw your hand and be good to go the next turn. But if you want to put in the 7 mana to play this card, get a new hand, then you are more than capable of putting down a giant beefy meat creature. The only problem with this is unless you're in 3 colors, I don't know how many beefy meaty creatures white blue's gonna have. I don't. But I'd imagine a lot of people will be splashing green or black in this color, given it Azorius and Simic. Which goes to my final point about these cards. Now, there's supposed to be synergy with these mechanics. Some of these mechanics are supposed to work well with some of their other guilds. For instance, oh god, who am I thinking here? I believe it was Dimir and I believe it was Dimir and Golgari's effects worked actually really well together. It was also excuse me, I'm trying to figure out words here. I think also Dimir and Izzet also worked really well together. I believe Boros and Selesny's worked well together. So they were able to play off each other on some level. Now with the Gruul and Simic one, that's a no-brainer. They both actually have +1 counter abilities to them. So those guys play off each other with no problem. Also, I will actually say Afterlife also plays off really well with Spectacle, because you will get an extra creature which will allow you to possibly get in some extra damage. So it actually plays off pretty well there. But then we get into the color sharing between Azorius, Orzhov, and Simic. I'm not seeing how synergistic Addendum goes with Simic, with +1 counters. And I'm not seeing where it goes well with the Afterlife mechanic. But that's possibly because obviously we only got 2 addendum cards anyway, so that might be the big reason that I'm not seeing it. Also, should note that Gruul's Riot works really well with Spectacle as well. The haste gets in real quick for damage, so that works really well. Ultimately, I gotta say, I'm digging, even the weird one with addendum, I'm digging all of these mechanics. I think these are actually all really solid mechanics. Like Adapt is probably the most admittedly, it's the most boring one. Riot's probably the most versatile one, actually. Aftermath's probably going to be the most annoying one. Spectacle might be the most useful one, and Addendum is kind of just weird. So, yeah, we'll see how it ultimately plays out. But, yeah, I'm digging the mechanics for this. I can't wait for the actual spoiler season to start up. But that's my thoughts on the Ravnica Legion spoilers. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. So if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Yeah, you know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And if you have an idea for who would win, Star Wars, Superhero Magic, what if anything I do on the channel, put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be back in a little while.